say hello.
Yes. Hello, everyone. It's Joe Amoya, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com and your love life transformation specialist. I am so excited to be here with you tonight. Tonight, we're going to go deep, real deep. We're going to talk about something that really needs to be discussed, something that I see is affecting a lot of you out there in the GPS for Love community. But before I do that, I have somebody really special. No, sorry, it's not Uncle Giuseppe, but it's somebody who's really near and dear to my heart. It's my little guy who's sitting here. So come on in.
Hello.
This is Mikey. Everybody say hi, Mikey. Okay, Mikey's here, and I said, Mikey, you want to say hello? And originally he's like, no, and he's like, yeah. So Mikey's always around. He's boy number 3, and he's one of our pride and joy. So now Mikey is going to go upstairs so he doesn't distract Daddy. Okay, bud?
Bye.
All right, bye. So interesting story about Mikey. Okay, we had 2 boys, and I was okay with that. Okay? And Natalie really wanted a 3rd child. Natalie came from a family of 3 where she had a brother and a sister, and I had just 1 sister. And, she wanted that girl. So she's like, we really I'd really love to have another one. I was like, dude, I'm good. I'm good with 2. I'm really good with 2. And she's like, and I said, all right, you know what? Let's not try, but let's not try. And if it's in the plans, the man upstairs wants us to have a 3rd child, then you know what? It's meant to be. And so we kind of just turned it over to the big guy in the sky. And sure enough, one day I'm doing the leaves and Natalie comes out to me and she's like, we're pregnant. And I'm like, well, I guess you got your wish. But I said, here's the deal. You get 1 shot and 1 shot only. Because we've actually had family members who've had like 5 kids who kept trying for the girl and it never happened. And I don't want to be one of those. I don't want to be one of those people who just rolled the dice. So I said 1 shot and 1 shot only. And the deal is that no matter what this is, as soon as it's done, we're closing up the shop. Okay. And that was the deal. And when he came out, it was a boy. And, we both were a little disappointed. But now we see that there really is an intelligent universe, because there's no way I would have been able to handle a little girl. That's just the truth of it. So there is a bigger source out there who has this higher intelligence. So just wanted to just share that little story. It wasn't in the plans. It literally just changed about a minute into this. And tonight we're going to talk about, are you sabotaging your love life? Now, I'm going to be really transparent and really honest. This is a really, really important presentation tonight. I spent a lot of time working on this, and there's a lot of things I want to cover, and I don't want to miss anything. So I've actually got some notes here. Okay, so you're going to see me looking down periodically, and it's just because this is so important, I don't want to miss anything, and I hope that's okay. Now, before we go on this little journey into self-discovering and discussing self-sabotage, I want to go over some pre-flight boarding instructions, okay? So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to simply shut down all distractions. So if your computer is open, shut everything down other than Facebook. If your phone is on, shut off your text, shut off your phone. If the TV's on, the radio's on, if anything that could possibly distract you, just please shut it off for the next 45 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Just your full undivided attention. And if you can't give that, that's cool. This is going to be taped, and the replay will always be on Facebook, and we'll be sending it out to our list tomorrow. So I'd much rather that you spend that time, if you have something that's more important right now, doing whatever's more important, and then give this your undivided attention, because this is that important. This could literally change everything for you. So I'm going to ask you to do that. Next thing I'm going to do is, I love engaging with you. I love this live audience. It's one of my favorite forums. Normally when I'm creating on my computer and creating videos and writing emails, it's just me and the computer screen. Here, there's actually people on the other side, or people put comments on the blogs or on the videos, and I have to answer them like hours or days later. Here, this is like live and we're interacting. And so it's a little bit more, or a lot more personal for me. And I really love that. And it actually gets me more excited. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you're joining in, this is your first time, or if you've been here before, just simply say, hey, introduce your first name. Don't need to go to last names or anything. But hey, Joe, it's Michelle, and I'm calling in from Ontario, or I'm calling in from New Jersey, or whatever, wherever you may be. One of the reasons I love that is because we literally get people from all over all over the world. And so sometimes you're going to see me as I have what's called brain flatulence, where I'm talking and all of a sudden my mouth stops and my brain is going. And that's because I'm trying to look at the same time and read and talk. So I tend to be multi-talented sometimes, but sometimes I really screw things up. So you have to apologize if you see some of that brain flatulence. All right. Now, the last thing I'm going to ask you to do is if you're watching this tonight and something really resonates with you, and there's something that you like or something that you find really helpful, if you can go ahead and just hit like the like button, if it's like, hey, I like this, or if it's something that really resonates, that's really helpful, an aha moment, go ahead and hit the heart button. And the reason why is that tells me that you're engaged. That lets me know that you're getting value from this. It lets me know that I'm not just talking to a screen. Okay, so it's really, really helpful for me on this end. Sounds good? Okay, so before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight, let me tell you who this is actually designed for. I've designed this for those individuals who are at that place in their journey who are saying, you know what? I want that good man and I want that great relationship. I want that life partner. I'm no longer willing to settle. I don't want to invest my time in another dead-end, crappy relationship. I don't want to be with a guy who doesn't love me the way I deserve to be loved. And I'm willing to give up the good to go for the great. So if that's you, you are in the right place. However, if you're the type of person where you're at that point in your life where you know what, you'll take any guy who comes along. You just want someone to share your life and share your bed with. You are desperate, you're needy, you're insecure, and you'll take any guy who pays attention to you just so you don't have to be alone. Or you just want to know how to trick a guy to fall in love with you, or you want to know how to manipulate a guy to be with you, then I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be straightforward and honest, because you know that's the only way I roll. This is not the place for you. There's a lot of other places out there on the internet that will tell you how to, and I'm laughing because Mikey's coming down, he's making faces. There are lots of other places on the internet that will tell you how to catch a guy, okay? How to get your ex back. Okay, how to manipulate, how to flirt, how to wear your skirt, how to push up your boobs, how to do all that stuff to get a guy. But I'm here to tell you, what good is getting another guy if that guy isn't going to love you the way you truly desire and deserve to be loved? Because I want you to understand. Now, some of you may be aware of this, but I want to show you something. If you've been around GPS for Love for a while, you're familiar with this, but if not, this may be the first time you're hearing it, but you need to hear this again, okay? So, this represents the symbol for marriage, okay? 50% of marriages end in divorce, okay? So 50% of people who love each other, who say, you're the one for me, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, 50% of those people wind up getting a actual divorce, okay, where they're not married, they're not partners, they're not sharing their lives in their bed with each other anymore. And what's interesting about what research shows is of the remaining 50%, 35% of those individuals 35% of those individuals admit that if they had to go back and remarry their spouse, that they wouldn't. That those individuals stay in unhappy and unfulfilling marriages. Now, the reason why those people stay, and some of you may relate to this, is that it's usually some kind of fear. It's fear that I may never find somebody else. It may be fear that I can't make it on my own financially. It may be fear that I'm going to be alone. It may be fear of how it's going to affect the kids. Now, if any of you can relate to that, again, go ahead and hit that little like button. But that's simply the truth. So 35% of people will stay in an unhappy and unfulfilling marriage. Now, to me, that's really, really, really sad. I know I spent 3 years in a very unhappy and unfulfilling relationship, and I couldn't imagine being in one and not being able to leave, or not believing I couldn't get out, or staying in that where I was so unhappy. So I can understand what that feels like, because I've been there, not in an official marriage, but in a relationship where I was that unhappy and that unfulfilled for that long a period of time. So 35% of people never experience the marriage that they really want. So that leaves, if we're good at math, that leaves 15%. Only 15%, okay? We got 15% here. Only 15% of people who get married wind up having the long-lasting, happy, and fulfilling marriage that they really wanted. I hope you understand that. That's why I don't talk to you about getting a guy or catching a guy or flirting or this and that, because what good is getting another asshole? What good is getting another narcissist? What good is getting another guy who treats you like a convenience? What good is getting another guy who disrespects and dishonors you? You deserve better than that. But if you want that, that's cool. I totally respect that. Go find some of the other people who tell you how to do that. But then don't complain when you wind up here, because that's where you're going to wind up. And so the reason why I created GPS for Love is I was here. Okay? I was one of those who was in the unhappy and unfulfilling relationship. And after I got out of that relationship, I promised myself I would never, ever ask another woman to marry me if I wasn't confident that I was going to be in that relationship and be in the 15%. Because to me, it was 15% or bust. If I couldn't be here, then I didn't want to be married. I didn't want to be in a relationship. I'd rather be single and have the possibility of finding love and finding that relationship that I really wanted than being in another unhappy and unfulfilling relationship. I did my time, and I was never going to do time like that again. And I really hope you understand, and I really hope you get that, and I really hope that this resonates with you, because this is so important. GPS for Love is all about what do you need to do, what do you need to learn in order to be in that 15%. So if you want to be in the 15% and you're interested in learning how to be in the 15%, go ahead and hit the little like. And as you do that, I just want to say hello to a few people who have chimed in. I see Carol is here. Hey, Carol. I see she says hi to Mikey. Bet, like my blue shirt. Appreciate it. Thank you, Bet. Great to see you again. Hey, Maya. How you doing in New Mexico? Ellen from Connecticut. Hola. Sharon. Hey, Sharon. Angela. Angela from L.A., Amanda from New York City, some faces and some people I know. Beautiful. So again, those of you who are joining in, say hello, say where you're watching from, and now we're going to get started. So let me grab my notes again. So tonight we're going to talk about sabotage. Now, you know I'm big about getting and finding out the truth. You know, if those of you haven't listened yet, we've created a podcast. My co-host and I, Maricris, about 2 months ago, we're on episode actually 10 now, and it's called The Truth About Love. Because my whole life, whether it's relationship, finances, health, fitness, marriages, raising kids, it's all about learning how to get to the truth, understanding how things actually work, and understanding what needs to happen to create the desired results. That's all my life is about, is the truth. I call the truth the light. Let's get to the light. Let's discover the light and work with the light to create the results that I believe we're all meant to create. So we're going to talk about this thing called sabotage. Now, if you look up sabotage in the dictionary, it actually says an act or a process to hurt or destroy. Okay? So the definition of sabotage is the act or process to hurt or destroy. Now, if we look at it, self-sabotage, okay, it's yourself acting in a way to hurt yourself or destroy the possibility of experiencing something you desire. Now, unless you're like really mentally insane, who would intentionally do something to hurt themselves? See, I don't believe, as people say, you're a self-sabotager, you're a self-saboteur. You know what? I don't believe you're doing that on purpose. In fact, I know you're not doing it on purpose. So one of the things I hope you take away from tonight is if you're doing any of the things that we're going to discuss, you're not doing it intentionally. Because see, what self-sabotage is, when you really understand it, and we're going to go deep, so don't worry about it for now. We're just kind of giving you a little taste. Self-sabotage is really a form of self-protection. I'm going to say that again. Self-sabotage is really a form of self-protection. So in order to help you understand what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you something that's going to make it easy to understand. Okay? So this is a little diagram. Okay? And I took a little time earlier to make it pretty because those of you know me know that I'm not very artistic and I have really crappy handwriting. So I want to make sure that this looks really nice and pretty for you. So this diagram, which we're going to call the iceberg right now, this represents the human mind. Okay, so this represents our mind. And there are two parts of our mind. Okay? We have the conscious and the logical part. And then we have the unconscious and the emotional. So you see, two parts. We have the conscious and logical, which is a very, very small part, and the unconscious and the emotional. So if you had to guess, now some of you, if you heard this before, don't tell the answer. That's cheating. But those of you who are new, who may not be familiar with this or heard this before, if you had to guess, what percentage of everything you think, say, or do you think is conscious and logical? And what percent do you think is unconscious and emotional? So just, 20%, 30%, 40%. What percent do you believe is conscious? Just go ahead and put your answers down. As you do that, I'm just going to check in, see if anybody else has shown up. Okay, Bridget from Florida. Hey, Bridget. Susan. Hey, Susan. Good to see you. Constanza from Colombia. Oh, hola. And Julie from Utah. Beautiful. Welcome all. Okay, we start seeing, 30%. All right, who else? Anybody else? All right, so I'm going to give you a couple more minutes just to chime in. What percentage? 90% unconscious. Okay, good. We're getting there. Anybody else? It's like The Price is Right. Remember that show on The Price is Right? Name the price, where you had to get exactly it, and it's like higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, lower. See, this is the way my brain works. Something will happen, it'll trigger my brain, and I'll go into a story, which is all unconscious. It's just how my unconscious brain works. Okay, so this is it. Are you ready? So those of you who have participated, I want to thank you for your participation. Okay, the conscious logical part is 5%. Okay? Only 5% of everything you think, say, or do is conscious or logical. This is why, have you ever been in a situation where you knew what you were doing wasn't right? You knew you shouldn't do it, but you couldn't help yourself? Right? Or you ever talked to somebody where you tried to shine light on something they were doing wrong and they go, well, that's just the way I am. Okay? It's just the way they are because that's who they are in their unconscious mind. So 95% of everything you think, say, or do is unconscious. So guess what? If you're sabotaging yourself in your love life, is it conscious? No, it's not. Is it unconscious? Yes, it is. Okay? It's unconscious and emotional. It's a form of self-protection. The reason being, in your subconscious mind, in this part right here, your brain is afraid that you're going to get hurt, that you're going to get screwed over again. And so it just lives consistently with that belief. It's a form of self-protection. It's actually in your nervous system. It's actually ingrained in your brain. So it's important to understand that if you're self-sabotaging, we're not here to say that you're wrong, you're broken, it's that you've been wired in an unconscious way to protect yourself. But the sad part about that is you may protect yourself from being hurt, but you actually keep yourself from experiencing the very thing that you want. I'm going to say that again. You may protect yourself from being hurt. Excuse me. But you actually keep yourself from experiencing the very thing that your heart wants. That's why, to me, self-sabotage is one of the most dangerous things that single people go through. And I'll share mine in a little while. It's something that I went through. So I really want you to understand this. I really want you to get this, that self-sabotage is not something that any human being would consciously. Nobody says, you know what? I'm going to really screw things up for myself. I'm really going to make things more difficult. And in the process of making it difficult, I'm going to make it harder to experience the love that my heart really desires. That's not conscious. It's not, it doesn't make sense. Now, if you want to understand this, let's just look at life, because this doesn't just apply to your love life. This applies to all aspects of your life. Okay? It applies to your fitness level. It applies to your finances. It applies to your... Okay, sorry, my phone somebody was calling. I just had to hit the button. So it has to do with everything. And if you think it only affects you, it's not true. I'm going to give you a perfect example. You know a woman named Oprah Winfrey? Okay? Well, Oprah Winfrey, if you looked at her, she's had this one... Look, I love Oprah. I think one of the most influential people in the last 50, if not 100 years. Okay, what she's done to raise the awareness and the consciousness of people and to make the world a better place, I think is phenomenal. However, if you look at Oprah without judgment, the way she lives her life, Oprah has struggled with her weight. And now here's a woman who has unlimited financial resources, has personal chefs, personal trainers, who has the best of the best, yet she owns Weight Watchers. And yet she loses weight and she takes it off. She loses weight and she takes it off. She loses weight and puts it back on. I'm sorry. Loses weight, puts it back on. Loses weight, puts it back on. Why? Because in Oprah Winfrey's unconscious mind, there's something going on that causes her to sabotage. So even if she takes the weight off, she's like a thermostat. She ultimately puts it back on. Now, please understand, it's not a judgment. It's just an observation. I'm just trying to help you understand how the human mind works. And there's no human being on the planet that is immune to this. Okay? So if you're unknowingly sabotaging yourself, the purpose of this tonight is to not beat yourself up, to make you feel bad. It's to help you understand, oh, I'm human, but what I'm doing is not working, and it's not going to lead to the result that I'm looking for, so I've got to make some changes. Does that make sense? If it does, go ahead and hit those like buttons. I'm just going to grab a drink as we're going through that. As we're doing that, I'm just going to scroll a little more, see if anybody else came in. Okay. Bet says, I love this topic. I feel men do it also. Every human being does it also. Okay. Maxine says, what? Okay. Yeah, not close. Jasmina, 95%. She nailed it. Beautiful. Okay, great. You guys are awesome. So let's continue. So now that you understand that this self-sabotage thing is not conscious, it's unconscious, and you're just doing it automatic, we need to talk about what are the actual types of self-sabotage. Okay, so let me grab my marker again. So number one. So let's do this. Before I tell you what they are, you guys are smart. What do you think they are? What do you think are some types of self-sabotage? Just go ahead and write them down in the little comment box below and say, what are the types of self-sabotage? What do you think they are? So as you do that, don't look at my screen. Just go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and type in the first one. Okay, fear. Being critical of men. Okay, you're close, Bet. You're really close. Cool. So again, go ahead, put your answers in. This is an engagement. This is a community. We're working together here. Now I want you to understand that fear is the number one most common way that you unconsciously self-sabotage yourself. See, when you are subconsciously running that fear pattern, what you're going to do is you're going to put up walls. Okay? So when guys start getting close to you and you're afraid unconsciously, you're going to run away because you don't want to get hurt. Okay? Or what you do is you put up walls where guys just can't get close to you. So you'll either run away or you'll put up walls or you'll do something to scare guys away. Very often when you have fear is your primary driving unconscious force, it will cause you to not trust men. Now look, I'm a guy, been a guy for a long time now, and I'm the first to tell you that there are a lot of guys out there that you shouldn't trust. Okay? I'm the first to admit it. Those are the boys. But there are a lot of great guys out there who are trustworthy. And if they earn your trust, will show you that it is a privilege for them to trust you. Okay? And that they've earned that privilege. It's not a right. You don't give your trust to a man. A man has to earn your trust. But the right guy is going to earn your trust and show you consistently over time that he is trustworthy. Not just in the beginning. Okay? And that's one of the fallacies is that, oh, he's great in the beginning. Well, that's his representative. That probably isn't really who he is. You have to sit back and go, okay, it's great. You're saying and doing everything right in the beginning. You sound and look like you're trustworthy, but show me. Okay, and that's one of the ways you'll know. But in order to have that great, happy, awesome relationship, to be in that 15%, you've got to be able to trust men. Because I'm telling you as a guy, you don't trust us, that bothers us. We know that, you know what, why be with us if you can't trust us? It tells us a lot about the kind of relationship that we're going to have. Because we're going to be with a woman who doesn't trust us, who second guesses us, who questions us, who accuses us of stuff. And we'll put up with that for a little while until we go, I'm done with this and I'm out of here. So I'm just trying to be real, keep it real, and help you understand how fear will work against you in your love life and how it will actually sabotage you. And again, we're talking about the fear of getting hurt or being rejected. Okay? So fear is huge. It's number one. Okay? Now the second one, and I think someone just said this, we're criticizing men, but the second type of self-sabotage is arrogance. Okay, and arrogance, that's when you criticize and nitpick. Okay? That's when you're too picky. Okay? No man can live up to your standards. Look, I'm going to be real. If no man has been able to live up to your standards for 3 decades, you might want to take a good look in the mirror and say, maybe there's something wrong with your standards. I had a conversation with somebody in the GPS for Love community who was basically saying, you know what, I have very high standards and all the men are fat and they're lazy. And look, anytime you say all the men, that's a telltale sign to me that there's some kind of subconscious self-sabotage going on. Because until you've dated every single man on the planet, you cannot generalize and say all men. Now, you can say that a lot of men, and I'll be the first to admit that a lot of men are lazy. A lot of men treat women like crap. A lot of men are only interested in sex. Okay, those aren't the guys you have relationships with. Those are guys that you avoid. Those guys will always, always, always show their true colors, and you need to understand that. So I need you to understand that arrogance is another major way where a lot of women will self-sabotage themselves. This is often where people, I see it all the time, where they act like they're better than everyone. And again, this isn't just in relationships. I'm sure there's people that you work with, people that you live by, they're in your community, people that you're related to, okay, who put on this show of arrogance. Well, what arrogance really is, it's a masquerade because they have to project that there's something other than not because ultimately they're afraid of being hurt. Okay? So it's just a form of self-sabotage because that arrogance keeps people away, but it keeps people from experiencing the true emotional bond, love, and connection that they really desire. So I really want you to understand how emotionally, how damaging these things really are. Okay, so that's the second one is arrogance. Now the third insecurity. Insecurity. Another big one in the GPS for Love community. Insecurity is when you're not enough. Okay? So you're not skinny enough, you're not smart enough, you're not attractive enough, your boobs aren't big enough, your butt isn't small enough. There's always something that you're not enough on. Okay? And what you do when you believe you're not good enough is you focus on your perceived flaws. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've worked with some women who are stunners, who are absolutely beautiful. And these women are some of the most insecure people I've ever met. Okay? So everybody, and I have friends who are in the entertainment business, in the music business, and these people have everything. A lot of them are so insecure underneath. That's very often why they go into the entertainment business. It's because they desire fame. They desire adulation to make them feel good. And it works for a couple of years. until they realize that, you know what, this isn't working for me. I don't feel the way I want to feel. I feel empty inside. And that's why very often you'll look at famous musicians or famous artists or entertainers or athletes where they'll kill themselves because they are so unhappy inside. So I really want you to understand that this unconscious self-sabotage actually keeps us from experiencing what we really want. And it's very, very detrimental, and it's something that really needs to be eradicated. So I really want you to get that. Okay, so number 3 is insecurity. Now, also part of insecurity is when you don't get your hopes up. Okay? Because if you don't get your hopes up, you're not going to get rejected. And this totally screws up your confidence. See, when you're not enough, you're not attractive enough, smart enough, fit enough, whatever it may be, when you feel that way, it keeps you from putting yourself out there. It keeps you from getting your hopes up. And instead of going full blown and showing a guy who you really are, you sit back and a guy picks up on that energy. And I'm telling you as a guy, because I was in a relationship with someone like that, and it's horrible. Like, because you know, no matter what you say or do, it's never enough. That person doesn't feel good and they're insecure and they're always looking at things like looking at the glass is half empty. And it gets tiring. It gets really tiring after a while. So I really want you to understand that insecurity is another major form of self-sabotage. Okay, number 4. Pessimism. Okay, pessimism is what I call is the BMC. Those of you may have heard this before. If you're not familiar with the BMC is the Bitch and Moan Club. Okay, there are a lot of women who are members of the Bitch and Moan Club. Fortunately, there's not a lot of them in the GPS for Love community. But when you're a member of the Bitch and Moan Club and you're running self-sabotage as pessimism, this is when you say, you know what? There's no good men out there. You know, guys can't commit. They only want to get laid. They can't be faithful. You know, these are all the stories that you use. Okay, all the things that you tell yourself. Now, again, in your subconscious mind, these things are true. It's your perception. It's your belief. Now, a perception is a belief that you accept as being true. It doesn't mean that it's actually true. Now, again, this works 2 ways. There was a time in my life where I was self-sabotaging as a pessimist. And my belief was that, and you've heard me say this before, there were 2 types of women in the world. There were the desperate, needy women who would take any guy who came along and paid attention to them. I didn't want to be with one of those. And then there were the women who were the superficial BITCHs, you know, who a guy had to have the perfect hair, the perfect teeth, the perfect job, the perfect car, all that stuff. Everything had perfect abs. Everything had to be perfect. And if you didn't meet all 682 criteria on their list, they didn't want to be with you. And that's what I kept experiencing in my life. Because see, the thing about your subconscious mind is that it's like Google. It will find evidence to support what you believe in. There's something called confirmation bias. And what confirmation bias is when you believe something, your brain will find evidence to support exactly what you believe. So if you believe all men suck, your brain will come up with all the evidence to support that men suck. If you think that you're not enough, you will come up with all the evidence to support that you're not enough. If you believe online dating sucks, you're going to find all the evidence to support why online dating sucks. And if somebody gives you evidence that says otherwise, you will completely dismiss it and you will move on to find other evidence. And again, human behavior. It's like, how many people do you know where you've talked about something and you tried to give them another viewpoint, one that you know is factual, and they completely dismiss it and then find evidence to support what they believe. So one of the things I've learned in my journey is when somebody is running their confirmation bias, I don't even bother. I don't waste my, because it's like, you're committed to being right and nothing I'm going to say or do is going to change your mind. So I wish you well on your journey. I know that person will never experience what they say they want as long as they hold on to that belief system. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all responsible for the choices and decisions that we make and those that we don't make. We're responsible for the results we experience in our life. And so it's sad, but that's just the way it works. Okay? So number 4 is pessimism. Number 5 is apathy. Okay? Apathy is, when you're running apathy, it's like, why bother? Doesn't matter. It's just not in the cards for me. I've tried everything. Okay, that's when I hear it. Joe, I've tried everything. And then I go, well, tell me some of the things you tried. Well, I did online dating. I went to some meetups. Okay. And then we count them. It's like, okay, that's about 8 things. I don't know, 8 things to me isn't everything. See, you haven't tried everything until you've tried everything. I always use the analogy when I'm working with my personal mentoring clients. How many times does an infant walk? Does an infant fall down before it walks? You don't see an infant get up and fall down and after 10 times go, forget it. It's just not in the cards for me. You know what? God doesn't want me to walk. You know what? That's the way it's meant to be. I guess that's just my lot in life. I'm going to be a non-walker. Like, imagine if infants did that. Okay? How many would actually learn to walk? Okay? Not a whole lot. Right? And thank God infants don't have that ability yet to discern and think like us adults. Okay? So it's really important to understand that apathy is a big form of self-sabotage that will completely work against you in your love life. I said earlier that, one of the forms of apathy is that, it's just not in the cards for me. You know what? I've prayed and, and it's just, this is part of God's plan. I want to share something with you about that. Now, I always want to say, I respect your right to believe whatever you believe, but I'm just going to share something that I've learned. There was a time in my life when I was with my ex-fiance where, like, our relationship was, we were always the thread of, like, this close to breaking up, and I knew I wasn't happy, but I said, I gave this woman my word, and we were supposed to be married, and she was telling me what I wanted to hear, and we were both two people trying to make square pegs fit in a round hole. So for almost a year, every day on my way to work, I would stop at church and I would light a candle, saying, God, please help us. We both want this. Help us get through this. And I did that over and over for almost a year. And then it didn't work out. And then I'm like, like WTF? Like, you say, ask and ye shall receive, right? And well, I'm asking and I ain't receiving. Like, what's this about? And then, my story is things worked out. And I ultimately wound up meeting Natalie and things worked out for the better. And I learned that, what? God was answering my prayers. He just wasn't giving me the answer that I thought I wanted. Okay. He was saying, no, you know what? This relationship will never lead to the relationship you truly desire. And if I give you what you want, you're going to be in that 85% and you're going to be miserable and you're never going to have the relationship you want. So guess what? You ain't getting it. Now, I love that story because it was such a lesson for me in my life and other times where I prayed and I've asked for divine guidance and I've asked for signs and I didn't get it. And what I always learn is that the big guy has something better in store for me. Now, there's a great song that really sums up what I've just talked about. I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's a song by Garth Brooks called Unanswered Prayers. If you haven't heard it, I suggest right after tonight, either write it down now and after tonight go and Google it and just really listen to the words because it's all about that. It's all about, he's at a point in his life where he's asking God to answer his prayers and it doesn't work out. And then he realizes down the road that, what, it's best that you didn't answer my prayer. You knew best. So I just wanted to share that with you to help you understand that I don't believe that God is going to put a desire, God, universe, divine intelligence, universal, whatever you want to call it. I respect your right. I don't believe in that divine energy to put a desire in your heart so severe and say, you know what, but guess what? You can't have it. Haha, psych. Like, that would be cruel. That's not the God that I believe in. Okay? I believe that if you have a desire in your heart, you're meant to experience it. But you've got to do some work. You've got to make the necessary changes that are going to allow you to experience it in your life. So I'm going to grab some water again. While we're doing that, I want to know if you're, are you finding this helpful? Like, is it making sense? Are the light bulbs going off? If so, what I want you to do is just in the box, say yes. Okay? Just say, yes, this way I know that you're actually getting something from this. It's making sense and it's actually helping you. And then after that, I want to know, now that you've looked at this, okay, in what ways are you self-sabotaging your love life? Like, be honest, okay? So just look at it. You got this: fear, arrogance, insecurity, pessimism, apathy, okay? So just be honest. And one of the reasons why I do this is because I want you to see you're not the only one that does this, okay? We all do the same stuff, okay? So, and I just want you to write down, okay, put the number down. Was it, if it was fear, beautiful, put down 1. Fear and insecurity, 3. Fear, insecurity, apathy, 1, 3, 5. 2, 4, 1, 3. Doesn't make a difference. There's no right. Nobody's going to look at this. Nobody's reading. We just want to be honest. We want to be real with each other and support each other on the journey. Because I believe in order to get where you want to go, you got to understand where you've been. Okay? So that's the first thing we want to understand. Okay, great. So I see Dawn's putting in, beautiful. Julie's putting in, beautiful. All 5. Okay, great. Rubia, 145. Okay, great. And again, I want you to see that you're not alone. See, the thing about being human and going through this thing called life, we think we're the only ones who go through this stuff. Like, you can't make, there's, somebody said, and I don't know where I heard it. It wasn't that long ago, but it said, like, life is undefeated. There is not a person who has ever walked the earth, who is walking the earth now, and who will ever walk the earth, who hasn't gotten his ass kicked multiple times. Okay? That's just the way life works. And I've learned that when life kicks your ass, it's because the universe is trying to get your attention, so you make the necessary changes that you need to make in order to create the results that you say that you want. It's kind of like God's wake-up call. So it's really important to understand that nobody goes through life unscathed. I try to be really transparent about what's going on in my life and my marriage and my family. Natalie's mother's got dementia. Her father's having problems. She's got an aunt who's got some issues. My mother just had a scare with cancer. And I won't go into people close to me who have severe emotional issues. And, it's like, today I got a call from my buddy who's battling cancer. His partner had a mini stroke last night. Like, this is life. I mean, shit's going to happen. But how you show up, how you face that, and how you deal with it, who you become in the process, ultimately determines how quick you get through it. And when you get through it and you come out the other side, you find out that, that was actually happening for me, not to me. I learned something from that. I grew. That's what the smart people do. The people who are unconscious, who are unintelligent, are the ones who keep repeating the same mistakes. And they go, I don't understand. It's just life. It's just unfair. It keeps happening to me. And again, I'm not here to tell anybody what to believe, how to believe, but it's time we wake up and start really seeing things in a different way. All right, so let's review. Okay, there are 5 forms of self-sabotage: fear, arrogance, insecurity, pessimism, and apathy. Now, I want to go back and review just so you really, really get this. Okay? That all those 5 ways, okay, are all happening here in your unconscious mind. Okay? So you don't realize, you don't say, hey, guess what? You know what? I'm going to be apathetic today. You know what? Because that's really going to F up my love life. You know what? I'm going to be arrogant. Yeah, that works. I'm going to be arrogant. Okay? Or you know what? I'm going to be insecure. Yeah, insecure. Yeah, that's the one I'm going through. What you'll notice is that whatever ones you run, they tend to be patterns. Okay? You don't just do it once. It's something you automatically do, like without even thinking, right? That's why I say is you can't beat yourself up over this. It's just something you learn to do along the way. And there's reasons why I won't get into today just because it takes too much time. It's about human behavior and getting emotional needs. But there's reasons why you pick, fear versus arrogance or pessimism or whatever it is for you. There's reasons why you default there. So it's just automatic and it just all happens here. And as long as it happens here, you can think about it and want to change it, it's not going to change. It's like a computer. Once a computer is programmed, it runs the program that it's been designed to run, or it's been programmed to run. That's just what it does. The computer doesn't care. See, your subconscious mind doesn't care. Okay? It just does what it's created to do. And it either does that in healthy ways or it does that in unhealthy ways. So I really hope that you get that and you understand it. So the big question is, if it's unconscious and automatic, how do you change it? Right? Because if you're sabotaging your love life, and that's what you do, and it's unconscious and it's emotional, and you just fault, how do you change it? Well, I want you to know you don't change it by reading a book or watching a video. And you don't change it by praying, by meditating, by tapping on your head. And you certainly don't do it by doing yoga, drinking green juice, or wearing Lululemons, okay? And the reason why is those things only work with the conscious and logical part of the brain, okay? Have you ever read a book and said, oh, this book is great, it's amazing, you know what? It's life-changing, and I'm going to do these things. And you try and do it, and you do it for some of the suggestions in the book, or like a diet book especially, and then what happens? A while later, usually a couple days, couple weeks, you wind up back in the same place. Nothing has really changed, okay? Because that is all information, and information doesn't lead to transformation. Transformation happens at the emotional unconscious level. That's why if you look at our society, you know, look at the 10 people closest to you. Okay? Are their lives really much different today than they were 10 years ago? And what you can probably see is not. Again, this isn't a judgment. It's not saying anybody's wrong. It's just observing human behavior. So if you want to make the necessary changes that are going to lead to the results you want in your love life, you've got to change some things. And you've got to change some things on the unconscious level. Okay? I want you to get that you can't change an unconscious emotional problem with logic. And I'll give you another example of that. You ever been in a relationship with someone and that person was really upset emotionally and you tried to talk to them logically? Like, why are you so upset? You know, just calm down. Maybe that person did that to you. You know, just calm down. It'll be okay. Don't tell me to be okay. You know, you don't understand. What happens? That person gets more emotional, right? It's just the way the brain works. You can't solve an emotional problem with logic. This is something I learned in the very beginning when I was married to Natalie, is that because I'm a problem solver, I'm a very logical guy. And so if she was upset about something, I'd be, let's sit down and talk about it. And she couldn't. And it used to drive me crazy. And I'd be like, what, don't you care? You know, it's like, I'm trying to help you and you don't want to work with me, all this stuff. And what I realized is she couldn't because she was too emotional. So I had to learn to handle her emotion first. Now for Natalie, what it was like is like, oh, okay. You're just upset? Okay. Well, if you want to talk about it, I'm here. If not, let me know when you're ready. And then she would go and she would think about it and she would process it and she would calm down. She would get unemotional. And then she would be able to talk and reason and work things out. And it was one of the biggest things that helped, and I think that made our marriage a success, because I understood, oh, she's all emotional and she can't talk and work things out. And so we're different creatures in that regard. So it's just understanding human behavior. And again, there's reasons why people fall into the 85%. You know, Nat and I say this all the time. It's so easy to understand why the majority of marriages don't work out. Because people emotionally get so caught up in their stuff, they don't know how to communicate to their partners in ways where it brings each other together and puts each other on the same page, and it winds up causing rifts in the relationship that get bigger and bigger and bigger until ultimately the relationship falls apart. And my goal for you in GPS and doing this and all the other live streams and videos and everything else is to help you not be one of those individuals, to be one of the individuals who make it into the 15%. So you can't change an unconscious emotional problem with logic. So then how do you do it? Well, there's two ways to learn how to do it. The first is you can go and try and learn how to do it on your own. You can go and try and figure it out and hope that you get it right. Now, the problem with that is you're going to waste a lot of time and you may not get it right because a lot of the stuff that's out there is designed on logic. Again, and I've tried a lot of them. That's why I know. It's okay, well, do this or tap and do that. And again, not saying that those things don't work for some people, but the reality is they don't work for the majority of people because it's not working on the unconscious emotional level. So you can try and figure it out and hope that you're going to get it right, or I can show you how to do it. I've created something called the GPS for Love mentoring program. If you haven't heard about it, I want to share a little about it with you. See, there was a time in my life where I struggled, and I was trying hard to figure things out on my own. And when I want something, I'm tenacious, and I'm going to stick with it until I ultimately figure it out. And I did figure it out, and it took me 14 freaking years and a really bad engagement to discover and learn the things I needed to learn. And I won't go into my journey of how I created GPS for Love in the first place, but I got to tell you, I didn't start out to do this. Those of you who probably know is I was a chiropractor for 20 years. And then in my life and through divine forces, I decided I didn't want to be a chiropractor anymore. And it was actually revealed to me in my journaling one day that you need to help others find love. And I was like, what the hell do I know about that? And I said, women need to hear from a man like you. Not that you're special, but that you need to show them that you're a man who's happily married, who has no problem with commitment, that enjoys being in a relationship, that enjoys being monogamous, all that stuff that women want to hear, because women don't believe guys like you exist. So you are being appointed to do this. And that's the God's honest truth, how this all happened. And still there was like, I don't know. And there was a lot of fear. There's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of stuff for me to overcome. And I started on this path, and then all of a sudden doors started opening, and I got picked to be on a TV show and like things that I couldn't possibly do. There were some divine forces behind all of this. And even today, years later, 7 years later, I think now, where there are times where like, am I really meant to do this? And I had those human moments of fear and doubt. I'd always get a sign, always get an email, I get something from the universe to say, this is what you're meant to do. And I really want you to understand that I don't want you to have to struggle. If you're at that point in your life where it's like, you know what, Joe, I don't know. I'm trying, but it's not working. There's something going on, but I don't know what it is. And after watching tonight, you're like, you know what? I'm sabotaging. I've got some things going on unconsciously that are causing me to do these things, and these things are preventing me from having the love that I want. Then I really I invite you to check out my mentoring program. Because in that mentoring program, the very first thing we do is identify what's going on in your subconscious mind. Okay, these subconscious blocks. And I teach you how to rewire yourself. Now, it's really not a difficult, laborious process. You don't need years of therapy. We don't need to talk about this or talk. It's just learning how to do things a certain way. It's just like a computer. Okay, you just need to get into the computer. You need to shut down this conscious logical part, get it out of the way, so that you can then go and reprogram the unconscious emotional. So I have a strategy, I have a skill, I have a process to do that. And it's all part of my mentoring program. So if you're at that point in your life where you're like, I need help. I don't know what to do. I'm serious. I want this result. I'm committed to this result, but I don't know how to get there. I invite you to check out the mentoring program. You and I will get on the phone. We'll have a conversation. And at the end of that time, you'll know if it's a good fit for you. I'm not one of these individuals who are going to put you into ruin, scare the hell out of you to say, if you don't work for me, your life is going to be hell and you're going to be damned forever. I can't stand people like that. The reason is because I've been ripped off by so many of them. And I promised myself I would never be one of them. And there were times, and beyond, where I tried to be one of those people, and I tried to write things to scare people, and it just wasn't me, and it always sucked. The beautiful part about what I do is I get to connect with some amazing people. And I get to help them on their journey, sharing my gifts and talents. There are a lot of areas in life that I suck. And I'm working to make those areas better. But the one area where I rock and I kick butt is in my love life. I've got an amazing marriage with an amazing woman who is my life partner, who is my best friend, who is my lover, who is my lunch partner, who is my, who's just my best friend. And and I'm getting a little choked up because this is why I do this. I want everybody to experience this. This isn't something I do as a job. It's not, but this is a mission for me. My mission is to teach you how to create the love that you desire in your heart. So you can, if you have children, to teach those children, or if you don't have children, when you do have children, to teach those children. Because I'm an example of what it can be like. And I really hope that you get that. I really hope you feel the sincerity in this. And I really hope that if you're struggling, that you take me up on this, because it's an opportunity to make the changes. And so why not at least explore it and see if it's a good fit for you? And if it is, I promise you, I'll tell you. And if it's not, there's other stuff going on, I'll tell you that, okay? We need to be more truthful. And I think if we all were just adults in this world, especially you're going to be dating, if we were all just honest with each other, respected each other, and treated each other as adults, life would be so much better. And I see it, that's why I bring in Mikey, okay, my little guy, okay, because I'm trying to teach these kids from day one. This is how you live in the world. You show people respect, you tell the truth, and you look people in the eye and be the best that you can be. And when you do that and you screw up, I fucked up. We all do it. We're all okay. How many times I say, I apologize, I didn't get this out, or, I didn't do that. That's why I try to be transparent. I'm not perfect by any means, okay? And I want to be honest with you, and I want you to understand that you don't have to be perfect. Natalie and I are not perfect by any means, but we're perfect for each other. And that's what I want you. You don't have to be perfect, okay? You just need to be the best you can be, and you need to believe it, and you need to live like that. And when you do, and you put yourself out like that, you'll attract the guy of your dreams. And when he shows up, he's going to go, wow, this is one amazing woman. I can't let her get away. It's okay if there's other women who look better than she does, who have a better figure, or blah, 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 who are smarter, or whatever it may be. He's like, that doesn't matter. What matters is this woman makes me happy, makes my life better, and that's why I don't want to let her get away. So if you're interested in checking out the mentoring program, I think Natalie is going to put the link below this video. And if not, you can simply go to our website, which is gpsforlove.com/mentoring. And there, just type that in, gpsforlove.com mentoring, and the page will come up, and there's a little video there and just an explanation. You fill out an application, and then you and I will get on the phone or Skype if you're international, and we'll have a conversation, and we'll explore. Okay? Sounds good? All right, great. So now that we've discussed that, I asked earlier if you received value. If you did receive value, I want to know what that value is. What specifically is your takeaway? Okay, what is the most valuable thing you heard? What was the aha? What did you find the most helpful? What was the most interesting? Whatever resonated with you. And again, when I do that, I ask it because I want to know what's connecting with our audience. Because if I see things that, hey, you know what, people connect with this, then I'm going to create more videos on that. So you know what, if people really like that, well, then I'm going to talk about that. I want to address. This isn't about me just getting up and talking about anything. I'm really trying to listen to the members of our community so I can help you. It's like we all need mentors. I keep mentors in my life in just about every area of my life, because one of the things I've learned in my life, there's the hard way and the smart way to do things. The hard way is trying to figure it out on your own. The smart way is finding somebody who's already good at it and learning from them and investing in them. You just get there a lot quicker. And I have mentors and coaches in a lot of aspects of my life. So, hope it makes sense. Okay. So, I say something. I'm just reading somebody there. Okay. See, Natalie just made the post there. Okay. So if you like the value, just simply go ahead and write. I'm sorry. If you receive value, go ahead and write what your value was. What's your biggest takeaway? What resonated with you? What you found helpful? Okay. Then last thing before we go, I'm going to ask you for a favor. Okay. We spent, I don't know what time it is. Oh, almost an hour. Beautiful. On the dot. Okay. That I put a lot of time and effort into this, and I'm not looking for applause. I'm really not. But what I'm asking you to do is to help me get this message out there. There are so many individuals who are out there who are either in shitty relationships or who are having trouble because they're sabotaging themselves in their love life, or they just don't know where to go, or they're getting ready to quit because they're like, it's not in the cards for me. It's not meant to be, whatever it may be. Okay. I need your help in reaching these people. So all I'm going to ask you to do is just 3 things. Just like the page, right? So right above this, there's a little like button. Okay. Make sure you follow us. Okay. And then share this with your friends and loved ones. Anybody who you feel, just hit the share button and share it with anyone who you feel may benefit from it. Now, I'm also going to ask you is that if you are following us and you like being part of this GPS for Love community, make sure you turn on your notifications. Okay. It's important because the way Facebook works is that it only sends to so many people, like 1/10 of the people who are part of your community. And so if your notifications are off, when we post something, you won't see it. The only way you'll find about it is if we send out an email. But I try not to send a lot of emails about Facebook, and I'm really going to start sending less and less. So in order to receive the notification when you're going to be doing these things, you got to have your notifications turned on. This way, whenever we do something or post something, you'll see it automatically in your feed. So if you haven't turned on your notifications yet, please make sure you do that. So that being said, I'm done. We're all good. I just want to make sure that I scroll through before and make sure if I haven't said hello to everybody, I'll make sure I say hello. So see, Ruby, I don't know, Pamela's here. Hey, Julie. All right, everybody posted. And I'm going to go through and read all this stuff in bed in about a half an hour. Okay. All right, Amanda, Rubia, Julie, Gabrielle, Maxine. You're awesome, Joe. Thank you. Thank you, Maxine. I appreciate the comments. Okay. Beth, I feel 100% this is the crux of my issue and preventing me from finding my life partner. Check out the mentoring program. Love to help you. It's really not as difficult as it appears to be. You know, I say I always use the analogy, and yeah, I love to talk, but things just trigger, and I really want you to get it. You know, losing weight is not difficult. You got to do 2 things. You got to eat better and you got to exercise. Okay, those 2 things. But losing weight for most people is an unconscious emotional problem. Oprah Winfrey eats, and she said it, because of her emotions. And so as long as it's an unconscious and emotional problem, you're going to keep defaulting. You're going to keep winding up back there. So you got to get in there and you got to reprogram that subconscious mind. And it's really, trust me, it's really not a difficult process. It's actually very simple. You just got to know how to do it. It's like eating well and exercise. You got to know what foods to eat and what kind of exercise to do in a way that's going to get you the benefits. Okay, so Tammy says, awesome. As always, your advice and insights are so spot on. Many people have good advice, but your honesty, sincerity, down-to-earth style really resonates with me, and I believe with others. Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. I really appreciate that. You know, I'm the first to admit, you either love me or hate me, and that's okay. I'm totally cool with that. You know, but for those of you who do resonate, I call that my tribe. And I just love you people because you allow me to do what I love. So I'm so grateful for your presence and your ability to be here and to share things like that. So I see Galaxy is here, Gail's here, Tammy, and it's important that you're a guy and it has a completely different quality coming for you as a man. And again, that was through the guy in the sky. He's the one who said, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen. So throw up the sail. So that being said, it is an honor and privilege to be with you as always. I'll see you next time. Have an amazing day, amazing night. I'll see you later. Much love.